The question of how much debt is almost always the wrong question. The question is it being used to buy something smart or dumb? And so for a household, someone who takes on debt to go gamble at the racetrack is being dumb. Someone who takes on debt to get a credential that's going to let them earn more throughout their lifetime is being smart, even if we'd rather they didn't have to take on debt for that education. For the public sector, it's the same thing. I think taking on debt 2 years ago to give corporations $1.5 trillion in tax cuts was dumb. Taking on debt to provide unemployment insurance and genuine relief to people in the face of this crisis and to make public investments that will help both in the immediate health response, but also make us less vulnerable to future shocks, that is just smart. Taking on additions to deficits and debt only hurt if they start pushing up interest rates or inflation. I mean, that is the classic textbook story about when you should be worried about deficits and debt. When they push up interest rates and you start crowding out productive private investment, that's when you think to yourself, have I started to take on too much debt? That is obviously not happening right now. We have seen interest rates and inflation just collapse because the economy has been hit by what is going to basically in the end look like a mammoth negative shock to demand. And so what we're going to see is if we do enough stimulus and enough recovery, we're going to be able to do public investments. We're going to be able to keep people employed. We're actually going to boost private investment because people are actually going to have to add to capacity because there'll be customers coming in the door rather than customers, fleeing and staying at home. And we're not going to see that sort of crowding out of productive investment. If we start to see a spike in interest rates and inflation, we should think about paying for this relief with some taxes. And we've got plenty of room to tax people, especially at the high end. But for now, there's just zero evidence that the increments to debt and deficits are hurting us.